Hello and welcome to Slow Pit Stop, the international Formula One podcast by fans for fans all around the world. My name's Arafat, and as always, I'm joined by the birthday boy. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Your mic is still muted.
Whoopsie.
Happy birthday to you.
I looked up quickly what Formula One driver has my birthday year, my age, as their number, and it's
I
none
was
of
Daniel
them.
Ricciardo.
You're
too
I'm
old
Lando
now.
Norris, years old, you guys. Woo!
So, before we get into the podcast, I wanted to tell you about an interesting article I saw on BBC News. This is totally not Formula One related, by the way, but I just thought it'd be fun to talk about. So it was this thing about, the old saying, if you give a monkey a typewriter, eventually it will type Shakespeare.
Never heard of that, but okay.
Yeah, so it's a thing of any idiot can do something if you give them enough time.
Okay.
So you give a monkey a typewriter, eventually it will type Shakespeare. So these Australian mathematicians put it to the test. And they were they worked out how much time, and they said it would take in an entire monkey's lifetime. What was it? The word banana or the word monkey or something. Maybe 12,000 years before it could type it or something. And so they said the amount of time it would take to get to the point where the monkey could type out an entire Shakespeare poem. By that point, the universe would have died, all the suns would have burnt out, the planets would all be cold. And so they went, yes, technically something is mathematically possible, but you also have to take into account the laws of physics, and the laws of physics would not let this happen because the monkey would not have, because the amount of time that the monkey would need is longer than the universe will last. So they're just because something's mathematically possible doesn't mean something's physically possible.
I'm seeing the Formula One analogy here.
So, Lando Norris mathematically could become world champion.
Nah, bro, it's over. It's over. And what a way for Max to cement his legacy, man. It's over.
Yeah.
I've been dreading this episode. Do you know why I've been dreading this episode? Because I just knew I'd have to sing the praises of Max Verstappen. It was undeniable. It was undeniably a great, incredible, performance from him that will probably go down as one of the best in his career. And I hate that. I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about other things like Lewis racing in Senna's car, but I can't do that because Verstappen went from P17 to P5 in 10 laps. And then from P5 to P2, and yes, he got a little bit of help in the middle from a red flag. But why do I feel like he would have overcome Ocon anyway without the red flag? He would have overcome the grid, the pit stop that he was behind anyway. And I just, once he was making up the positions like that, Lando never had a chance. And it was a wet weather special.
There was a line from somewhere Lando said something if Verstappen had started up at the top end of the grid, he would have lapped all of us.
I thought Lando said something even stupider, where he was like, it had nothing to do with talent. It was all luck.
It was luck.
But I would be, you know what? I don't even blame him. I would have said worse things if I had just lost the championship. If my championship run had just ended based off of my own mistakes and my lack of performance, I would have been so mad. It's odd because you watch that race and pretty much everybody had a hard time overtaking. There weren't a huge amount. I mean, Ocon did it too. He did rise up, but really other than Verstappen, nobody else was able to put in great performances. Not even the experienced drivers of Lewis Hamilton and Fernando Alonso. And he was able to do it when it mattered, and that's really I hate that I'm going to say this. I'm going to just get it out of my system, and then we can move on. But it's the mark of a deserving champion is that when you're backed into a corner and when it looks like you're going to lose the championship, even if you're not in the best car, you pull out an amazing performance that gives you back your championship. We've seen it from Lewis Hamilton before. I would argue Brazil 2021 and Vettel
2012.
You've seen it. You've seen them pull the championship back in their favor because they know they're going to, great teams, or they say this in NFL, but I'll apply it to Formula One. Great drivers always find a way to win. They always find a way to make it work, even when it looks like they're not going to. And he did that, and he deserves to win it. This year, he did not have the fastest car for probably the last 2/3 of the season. It was Lando Norris's to catch and overtake him, and Norris, he didn't. And he lost the lead at turn 1 to George, and he does this every time except for once when he actually won the race from pole. He can never hold on to the lead. It's ridiculous, and he never got ahead of George after that until like the very, very end, and it didn't matter at that point. So very, very good drive for Max Verstappen. He was congratulated by Lewis Hamilton on Instagram, so I don't feel too shy to congratulate him here on Slow Pit Stop. Congrats, Max, on winning your 4th championship, the only one I think that you deserve. Woo! Got the dig in right at the end.
Right. So other things I wanted to talk about today were, one, this whole wet tire theory that Red Bull threw out there about how they were like, oh, McLaren's cheating. That's where our performance has suddenly disappeared. McLaren is cheating. They're putting like water or fluid into the tires, and it's helping to dissipate the heat during the races. And lots of people have come out and been like, from a practical sense, this is really difficult because you want consistent tire pressures. To put the fluid in, you would want a fluid, when the tire is sat in the tire blanket, it's at 80 degrees, so the fluid, if it's water, isn't vaporized. This is going to do all sorts of things to your pressures. Also, to put fluid in at a reliable volume, you'd probably deflate the tire completely and then reinflate it. But the tires are given more or less inflated to the teams by Pirelli.
The water cools the tires. That's the point of it. The water would.
So the idea, stop the tire overheating.
It's like a radiator.
But like lots of people were like, from a practical perspective, they're like, the theory kind of works, but from a practical perspective, this doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And Red Bull are like, oh, we had no evidence that McLaren's ever done this. But we just think they might be because we saw some water on their tire in Singapore. So we just want everybody to like keep an eye out to make sure this doesn't happen again. And the FIA is like, how did you notice this? Why were you thinking about this? And Red Bull were like, because we tried to do this. We're like, what? They're like, yeah, we looked into it. It doesn't work. And you're like, so you looked into it, decided this sort of cheating doesn't work. But you're like, McLaren must have figured it out. That's the only way they're faster than us.
Have you seen that meme on the internet? It's so funny. It's like Mercedes when they lose a race and they're like crying. It's like, I'm so sorry, please forgive me. For Red Bull when they lose a race, the other team is cheating. Send them straight to jail. Ferrari when they lose a race. Forza Ferrari, we will never change our ways. We are the best team in all of the world. So it's like, every time Red Bull pulls out a cheating accusation, it reminds me of that meme. And every time Mercedes has a bad race and they come out with Andrew Chavlin and he's like, we need to figure out where we went wrong. We'll spend more hours. We will keep. I'm like, oh, come on, you guys. And then Ferrari never ever takes accountability. So it's so funny. And who knows? Everybody's cheating. I've said this before. Sauber is probably doing something illegal that it's not giving him an advantage, and nobody exactly. So and you know what? We have proof of that because apparently Mercedes slam dunk disqualification. They adjust the tire pressure on the grid. I don't know why that's a problem, but it is a rule that you can't do it, and then they did it, but nobody cares about them. They're in 4th place. Nobody's going to overtake them. They're not going to overtake anybody, so they just got left.
And it's such a problem. It's like, because I think the standards of rule keeping and stewarding sometimes are so strict and sometimes are nonsensical. And, we talk about this all the time, but then you get into a thing where you think, oh, Red Bull's being favored. Oh, McLaren's being favored. Oh, Mercedes is being favored, whatever. And it's not that anyone's being favored. I think they are just so like globally incompetent that whenever they make these bizarre decisions, it's always to the advantage of someone. Whereas so then you're like, oh well, they're being favored. Whereas if you were just like, okay, this is the rule, this is how it happens, blah blah blah. If it was more straightforward, then you just. But
so that's why when you take a team that's not going to affect anyone, like Mercedes, like good or bad, doesn't affect anyone. That's why we don't see the effect. You're like, oh, you're like, they should have done this, but maybe they didn't. No, They always have an effect. If Mercedes were in a title fight with Aston Martin, we'd be like, they are favoring Aston Martin. They're in Aston Martin's pocket. But no, it's just because they just don't know how to make decisions.
They're not favoring anyone. They're just not good enough to do their job. And so it looks like they're favoring someone.
Yeah, I get that.
Speaking of people that aren't good enough for their job, one of the big appeals of Sergio Perez was that he has a huge market in South America, lots of fans, lots of followers. Carlos Slim is backing him. But we saw Christian Horner lurking around the Williams garage. And
I think he lives there. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. He came to check in on Alex. But yeah, news on the street is they want Franco.
Franco's got so much brand appeal. I didn't even... You know what I saw on Instagram this morning? I saw a Franco Colapinto ad. He's already doing ads for Williams.
I've got it loaded on the computer here. I was going to show it to you.
I saw it this morning.
The one where he's with the yellow van thing.
Yeah. And the guy's like trying on his uniform.
That's why there's yellow on the Williams now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's weird. It's so weird.
I've literally loaded it here.
Here, let's put it on. Why not? It's fun.
Mercado.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to?
I don't know. Find out.
You hear it?
Oh shit! Yeah.
Right. So what's happened so far is a person has a delivery driver has gotten Franco's phone and they've taken him to Franco's one car. Franco, totally okay with chaos, decided to get into the guy's delivery van and follow out there. He's like, "Switch to what? No, I'm going to take the delivery, go through the no entry, and drive up to my F1 car."
You're absolutely crazy if you think I can hear you over that music.
I don't know why I'm going around the entire track in this delivery van. He's shaking hands with the guy that stole his stuff.
I was going to say, you're absolutely insane if you thought I heard a word you said over the music. I didn't hear what you said.
I was just commenting on, like, Franco's life is so chaotic that this man stole his F1 car and he was just like totally fine with it. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to get in your delivery van and head up to my F1 car.
So that's actually part 2 of the commercial. I saw part 1, which is so funny because in part 1, the delivery man shows up and then puts the suit on. And then Franco walks in and he's like, "Where's my suit?" And I guess in part 2, it's because he's been taken to the practice session. But yeah, the fact that he already has a commercial, like, and then did you see on F1 TV, they were talking about the amount of people that came from Argentina to Brazil to watch him.
Yeah.
And all the flights had been booked out and all the buses had been booked out. And there was just this huge amount of fans had come from Argentina. And I don't know what kind of appeal Sergio Perez had. Like, I don't know if the Mexican fans were...
Yeah, loads of Mexicans used to come to the Miami GP.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's more than what Franco has, or if Franco's is only set to grow from here. But, I mean, they have the opportunity, and I would love to see Franco get a full seat. He's my new underdog friend that I like. Sorry, Liam Lawson, we are no longer friends, Liam Lawson. You have disappointed me.
Yeah, what's up with Liam Lawson? So, I'm all for Franco going to Red Bull. I feel a bit sorry for Alex in that, but whatever. But Liam Lawson, we talked about this last week. He's supposed to be like in his audition time, just showing he's like no drama, serious person, and he just spends his whole time whinging or in fights.
Yeah, I didn't like that he was in fights with both Lewis Hamilton and I think K-Mag was the other one he got into a fight with. And I didn't like that the FIA didn't penalize either of them. The one on Lewis, I especially thought, everyone was saying, oh yeah, Lewis didn't know he was there, and that's why he kind of touched wheels with him. And he was still being, I feel like, a bit more aggressive than he had to. I don't know. You're trying to like differentiate yourself, right? You're the new guy on the grid. You want everyone to know that you're good. They can't just push you around. But I don't know. He just lost his appeal to me. The other rookies haven't necessarily been like that. And like Franco, when he was fighting, fought fair, and that's what we all liked about it. It's just like one more tally that I'm like, do I really? I don't know. I don't know if I can really support this guy. Maybe the next couple races, finishing out the year, he won't be like that at all, and I'll change my opinion and I'll say, yeah, he was just new to the race, but or to the sport, to F1. But at this point with him now, this is like 3 races in a row where he's just getting in fights. It was amusing with Fernando. With Perez, we were like, oh yeah, everybody hates Perez. But now that's Lewis and K-Mag. You can add to the list, and like, these are all veteran drivers. Like, he's fighting with all the veterans. Like, just chill, bro.
What's he doing? Like, we killed Daniel Ricciardo for you. We took him out to the back of the big Formula
We
One
took him
track.
to Buffalo,
We
New
sent
York,
him.
and sent
We
him to the
sent him to
Bills.
Buffalo.
To the
Yeah, we sent
Buffalo
him to the
Bills.
Bills. No, has his memory been wiped? Is this a Men in Black situation? I don't know. But we got rid of Daniel Ricciardo for you. Like, make the most of the opportunity. What is happening? Why are you spiraling already?
I know. It's not even been. You're not. You have to show the temperament. Like Yuki. Like you can't come out and be the new Yuki Tsunoda. We already have a Yuki Tsunoda. You need to be the the tempered
Like,
version.
Yuki makes it cute because he's small.
Yeah, you're just Australian. There's nothing cute about that.
Yeah. No, he's from New Zealand, no?
I think. Oh, yeah. He's New Zealand. Yeah, my bad. I've just offended a whole continent of people, but
It's okay, they're far away.
They won't come
I'm
after me
Googling
over
Liam
here.
Lawson.
No. I was gonna say about Daniel Ricciardo. It's so funny because he was at this Buffalo Bills game, right? And he is a Buffalo Bills fan. He's friends with he's friends with the Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen. And he was at this game. It's the first one he's been to since he got back into Formula One. And people were asking me like, "Oh, why didn't you go see him? You should have gone to the game so you could go see him." Because he was just with the normal fans. He wasn't in like a special VIP area. And all I could think of was like, I couldn't go see him. I was watching the Formula One race at the time. Can you imagine if I had run into him like, "Hey, are you seeing this on the phone?" And he had like just broken his heart again. Look how good Liam Lawson is doing. I would have broken his heart. I'd be like, "Hey, Daniel, are you watching the race in Brazil? Bro, it's wild." So no, I didn't see him because I was at home watching this. Okay, did it feel like that race went on for 5 hours? I just feel like it never ended.
I was on night shift during the race, right? So I woke up. I watched the first 10 laps. I must have fallen asleep. And I woke up and it was like lap 30.
Yeah.
Like, what's happened? At some point I fell asleep.
Yeah.
I woke up again at like lap 55 or something. And I remember texting, being like, has Ocon and Gasly pitted yet? What's happening? And people were like, yeah, there was a red flag. This is the position everyone's in. And I'm like, Ocon's winning? I like to watch sports as a drunk person because I can't. This all seems really bizarre, and I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, that's what the sprint race was like for me. The sprint race, I was just coming off of my night shift, and okay. So first of all, because I just gotta tell you how I watched this race. I know we do this recurring segment. How did we watch the race this week? But okay, so the sprint race I watched like from my bed, so tired. I just lifted my laptop screen. I again, they were just you know when they talk as everyone is setting up the grid. That's where I was. When then I closed my eyes, I must have fallen asleep because when I woke up, it was and it's lights out and away we go. And I was like, oh wow, that's they've gotten there. And then like I don't remember. I just remember like things happened. I don't remember like who overtook who because then afterwards everybody was like, Verstappen's got a 5-second penalty. I was like, why? What did he do? Did he push somebody off the road? Like, no, he didn't take the VSC Delta. I was like, oh okay, I didn't even know there was one. And then everybody's like, and they put the red flag out too early or too late, and it let the McLaren drivers swap. And I was like, oh, wait, so what's the problem here? And then, I don't know. I still don't understand. What did because the Max fans were, sorry to the Max fan listening, they were insufferable online. They were like, this they cost Max the lead here. Like, he would have had the lead, but they put the red flag out too early, and he couldn't overtake something. I don't know. Did you watch this sprint? What happened?
I don't know. I was, again, asleep and confused.
That's the groundbreaking analysis you get here.
One thing I'm so grateful for. One thing I'm so grateful for is that, sometimes a race will happen and, like, either it's at a time of day where the kids are asleep or the kids have been taken away and I can just, like, focus on the race.
Yeah.
And I just get, like, time to myself.
Yeah.
Remember, like, in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, where, like, Terry's special days when he just gets to watch the football by himself?
Yeah.
So it's like that. And I, like, totally relate to that episode now. And I'm just glad that this wasn't one of those episodes. This wasn't one of those races that I had, like, all the time to really digest it all and watch it all. And just watch Max Verstappen, like, blow everyone away. And then Lewis just moved backwards and backwards and backwards. Did you see what he said after? Like, he's just so over it.
Yeah.
He's like, I can't wait for the end of the year.
Yeah. And then his radio message was like, I'm just going to retire now, you guys. didn't
So there were
actually say
radio
that.
messages where he was saying bye-bye to people, and people were like, is he not coming back for the next 3 races? So apparently it's a lot of the pit crew are not coming back for the next 3 races, so that was him half saying goodbye to them.
Aw, that's sad.
But it's not that he's not coming back. But honestly, if he didn't want to, I wouldn't blame him. I just want to read the last bit of an article from the race.
Sure.
Where it just says, Lewis says, I just want to keep the car at the wall and try to score points if I can for the team. Hamilton said of his motivation for the run-in. If I can finish well and they give me a car that doesn't bounce off the track in the next few races, then hopefully we get a better result. But I'm looking forward to Christmas. He's so done. Do you know what? When Lewis started in Formula One, I was at the end of school and I was moving into university, and like, you know, Lewis was going from like boy to man, and it's like there was all these like things that I could relate to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas now Lewis is at a point in his life where he's just like, I'm so over this. I can't be bothered with this anymore. And that's exactly how I feel. From today, I have 197 days left till I'm done with training. I count every day. I've been counting since 250. And I'm at 197 to go. And I know exactly how Lewis feels, where I'm just like, I will do enough to get by and no more.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I was very proud of him for getting that point at the end, because it shows that, like, he really didn't have to fight for it. He could have let Perez take him. He could have finished in P13 or P14. But somewhere in him, there was still a little bit of that fight, even though he was so over it, he was so done, and he fought and he took the point. And it allowed the most amazing thing to happen, which is that Verstappen gets to have this masterclass race from P17 to win it, and Perez doesn't score any points. So, because Lewis fighting him for that final point.
Perez isn't in the car next year, right?
Well, we don't know anything for sure, but we're assuming he's not in the car next year.
Yeah, I predict he's gone.
Yeah. There was something else I was gonna say. Oh yeah, qualifying took so long to watch. So the reason why it felt like forever is because qualifying was moved to right before the race, right?
Yeah.
And then
so everything happened in one day.
Yeah, and it was all like pretty. Because what happened for me was, okay, I'm on a night shift too, and that 5 a.m. qualifying started, or 5:30, and it just went until the end of my night shift. So I was like driving home watching the end of the qualifying session. And then I get home, I get like an hour and a half of sleep, and then the race starts, and it goes for like 3 hours. I was like, this is too much Formula One wet weather shenanigans, guys. I'm over it. Can we just get a race where the cars can go in circles at a decent race, and I can follow in my head who is net whatever position instead of all these spins and whatever. But wet weather, man, it was too much. It was too much for me. Too much. Formula One.
I have thoughts about safety cars and things as well, but it's somewhere in the world. It's someone's bedtime. So we shall leave it there, but remind me next week to talk about safety cars.
Well, just give the 30-second spiel. I won't
so
press
like
further.
It always randomizes results a little bit, because people like the virtual safety car, good idea. But before virtual safety car, we only had safety car. And I remember when it was Lewis versus Nico, I used to always be like, okay, Lewis is pitted. I really hope there isn't a safety car. I really hope there isn't a safety car. There's a safety car. Nico gets an advantage. And like the way Max, Ocon, and Gasly got an advantage there because of the red flag, and they just got to change their tires and stuff. Like, on the one hand, it's amazing for Alpine. It's a really nice story for them that they got the 2 podiums and things. I don't want to take away from that. But you do sometimes feel for people like McLaren in this situation that are like, we were just doing everything right, and luck has, taken us off the podium or whatever. So I don't know if there's a fairer way of doing things, but there's something about when it's just random luck feels a bit.
That's every sport. Every sport has luck that affects things. I think it was big for Alpine. I think it's unfair that with one race they leapfrog Sauber, not Sauber, the other teams who tried so hard. Williams, Haas, and VCARB, who all year have been trying so hard to rack up points. In one race, they get to overtake them. Doesn't seem fair. But yeah, there's a lot to it. But good for Ocon and Gasly. Something really interesting is going to happen for Las Vegas. Do you want to know what it is?
What?
I will not be watching any of that weekend. I will be traveling, and I won't have access to the internet. So we get to play our game where you tell me 5 things, and I have to guess what really happened. And I'm very excited
What really
for that
happened?
game.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to make it so good. Because
we'll do that.
technically, Verstappen can walk away from Vegas as the champion.
Yeah. If he DNFs, which would be incredible, Norris could theoretically be back in it by a little bit, but it's not going to happen. But so we'll play that game after Las Vegas. Thank you everybody for joining us on this rain-addled episode. I should use rain sounds to play us out. I don't have them pre-downloaded.
Rain.
Bye.
Bye.